Dawn is breaking on the water tower at the one-time world headquarters of Publix supermarkets in Lakeland, Florida. This is still a major distribution facility that extends for most of a mile along the CSX-A line. We are just north of the Winston Yard, and arriving from Waycross is daily train L453 with engine 3248 leading.
Q453, CSX 3248, advanced approach, north Winston Y, southbound.
As part of the new service design, 453, once a Waycross to Miami run with a stop in Okeechobee, now swings into Winston Yard, where it drops off some cars and picks up some for Okeechobee, West Palm, and Miami. We'll see this train again later on today. A crackling, almost unintelligible defect detector told me something else was coming in from the Vitus side, so I swung around to Lakeland Junction about a half-mile away. The signal there answered my question. Red over yellow over flashing green is a medium approach medium, which indicates reduced to medium speed through the turnouts, crossovers, or powered switches. Then keep it at medium speed through the next signal. It was train Q603 coming south into Winston Yard, and the routing over this junction will put him on as many as 5 switches at once, thus the need for medium speed. 603 is a daily manifest freight out of Waycross for Winston, and over the last few years it and counterpart 604 have been abolished and reactivated several times. Business must be picking up here in January 2020 because here he is again. During all this, I heard a crew calling the dispatcher with a job briefing.
Hey, dispatcher, Q220, over.
The CSX C5413 and 3377 both have 3,300 gallons of fuel. Got 22 cars. Dispatcher bulletin 78453 with 38 messages.
Got a coal train going through Lumberton right now. I got to get by it before we take you north, over.
It was Q220, an empty autorack train in the Lakeland 10th Street siding about 6,000 feet north of where I was standing. Now, radio job briefings are very helpful to the rail fan because they let you know what kind of train it is, they let you know what kind of engines he's got, how much fuel he's got, and when he's leaving. So those are very helpful. But during this exchange, the dispatcher also made a remark very helpful to me. And he said to 220, I'm going to have to hold you at 10th Street because I've got a coal train at Lumberton. Now, I know that Lumberton is the point where the double track starts up at Vitus Junction, at the very top of the Vitus subdivision. That's about 18 miles from where I was at the moment. So that tells me I need to set up somewhere for this coal train coming at 220 and me. So I need to find a spot. I picked for my location the overpass over Interstate 4. It was a little dicey with about 2 feet of space to stand on next to a 30-foot drop down to the ditch below. So I kept one hand on the fence next to me.
CSX MO4020 engine 3453 southbound. That's an approach limited, distance 10th Street.
It's unusual to hear a crew member on CSX with a British accent. Pretty cool, I think. Finally, here was NO40, power plant coal out of Oaktown, Indiana, for Orlando's Stanton Energy Center. In just a moment, he'll pass that Q220 and the 10th Street siding that we heard earlier. Bringing up the rear is engine 3334, an ET44AH, working as remote-controlled DP power. I had to tiptoe down the embankment back to my truck, and that took a few minutes, so by the time I got to Fairbanks Road, Q220 was already out of the 10th Street siding and rolling. He was only 2,200 feet and empty, and he wasn't waiting for an old rail fan to get his camera set up.
Good morning, Danny.
Then I hear 0738 departing Winston Yard. This would be easy. I just ran back around the corner to South Lakeland for the catch. .738 is a daily local that brings cars out of Winston out to Auburndale, or in today's case, just north of there. Those are Martin Marietta hoppers with Georgia Rock for the customer at Davenport. If you want to see some more of this train while it's switching, I've got a couple of links at the end of the video here. Later on, I ran into my friend Gordon Deason, who was visiting in Bartow, and we both drove out to Westlake, Wales. This is the CSX route from Auburndale to Miami. Westlake, Wales was at one time a significant stop on the old Seaboard Airline main. There was a medium-sized yard and an ice plant, mostly for perishable traffic coming online here and for South Florida reefer cars that needed re-icing. It's also where the main line from Tampa came in. What is now the Valrico subdivision came all the way east out of Bartow and joined the Miami sub here at Westlake, Wales.
Track 98 engine 75 northbound, Weber clear. South end of Westlake, Wales, over.
Clear, south end.
The first action we saw came at 11:52. Amtrak number 98, the northbound Silver Meteor, out of Miami on his way to New York City. Named for Seaboard's last crack passenger train, and this being ex-Seaboard country, the Meteor is technically on home rails.
Track 98 engine 75 northbound, Weber clear through short pass, over.
Clear that short pass, 98.
That's Gordon across the tracks. I think the crew called out to him. Being an ex-JA dispatcher with CSX, a lot of Florida railroaders know Gordon. Next was Amtrak 91, making his way south from New York and coming out of his Tampa and Lakeland stops. And now that he's on the Seaboard Miami extension, he can let the horses run for the next 120 miles. After a couple of curves, the track straightens out like a rifle barrel, and he's only got 2 stops in that distance. Engine 188 in the lead and 42 trailing in Amtrak's special veteran salute graphics.
PO 91, we can start with the short pass. Clear all the way 91.
I couldn't say for sure, but I think I was getting a wave on the engineer's side. We broke off for lunch and some gasoline, but at 14:27, here came the southbound Silver Meteor, Amtrak 97.
Amtrak 97, clear through short pass.
Clear 97 now.
Also note the consist: 2 locomotives, 3 coaches, cafe car, dining car, 3 sleepers and baggage. Get past the shaky camera work and you can see some of the layout here. The jointed rail track on the right is the West Lake Wales siding. It got the nickname Long Barrel decades ago.
97, clear Long Barrel.
Within the siding are a pair of crossovers that create a kind of a subsiding named Short Pass, no doubt to help the local switching when there was a busy yard here. A little after 1500, we got another high green at the Short Pass. This one is for L453.
L453, 25 with the engine 28 has a clear north, West Lake Wales, north, southbound.
Normally Q453, it's carrying an L symbol today because it's running out of its scheduled time slot. That's account major track work happening up on the Wildwood sub between Baldwin and Vitus Junction. When L453 got down to the next pass track at West Frostproof, Amtrak 92 was in the siding waiting on him. In a few minutes, the northbound Silver Star came around the curve at the Long Barrel.
92 Amtrak, engine 136 north, clear Long Barrel.
Clear Long Barrel.
Take note again how much less of a consist the Star is than the Meteors. Note also the slight tilt of the train toward the inside of the super-elevated curve. Evidence of what a major piece of railroad this once was. We spent about 5 hours at West Lake Wales and saw 5 trains. A lot of waiting, but that's not a problem in the middle of January in Florida. The weather is beautiful. So if you've got something to read or something to listen to, look at on your iPhone, not a problem at all. Now, I would never do it in July or August anymore. It's just too blasted hot. But that's why I urge rail fans planning a trip to Florida to try and do it in the winter time, especially Central and South Florida. The weather here is absolutely perfect, and there's lots to see and do for you and your family. So coming to Florida, try to do it in the winter. So we'll meet up again somewhere out there on the high iron very soon. Until then, this is Danny Harmon, out.